and for Neuronet to invite to participate in this beautiful new projects in order to understand and share knowledge and get more benefit for all IMI on all European projects to share and implement our knowledge and share the data each another. Well, MOPEAD, during preparing my talk, MOPEAD is not 10 millions, 30 millions, nearly 4. It's nearly 4. It's a very little project. We are thinking that MOPEAD is a project to serve like a platform to facilitate another projects. And as a kind reminder, I talk a little about MOPEAD. Laura CAMPO is the leader of the project. He's Thank you. It's leader the project just now. It's finished our project, and Mercè Boada it's the coordinator of this project. And MOPEAD is the models of patient engagement for Alzheimer's disease, and it's a European project to move Alzheimer's disease toward the early diagnosis. And what is the reasons to be MOPEAD? Why MOPEAD exists? What is the reason? What is our experience in order to build this project? Because we need better understand the obstacles for engagement patients. And that is the same if you are working for the clinical trial, and it's the same if you are working for clinical studies, on research studies, that it's a problem to know what is the profile, the best profile of this patient, of one subject to be involved in order as for the phenotype, as for biomarkers, and share the biomarkers. You need to define what is the better, but it's not better in order to define very well the phenotype, because everyone who is working in clinic knows what is the phenotype and the syndrome, but the most important is to work fast and to work well. To work fast and to work, and to establish really the successful strategies to overcome them. And then, if you give some results, if you are improving our knowledge, if you have managed very well in this area to promote recommendations and guidelines, not only for the citizens, for the professionals, because we need to improve the knowledge of the professionals to work with Alzheimer's disease, to work with cognitive impairment, and to work with presymptomatic if it's necessary. But don't forget that we need to work also with Alzheimer's disease patients. Don't forget. The aim to develop a pathway to remain normal, that is our hope, no? That is our goal, to be normal, aging but normal, elderly but normal, normal in a lot of the concepts, but normal. And for that, we need to provide some strategies aimed to the early diagnosis. Because early diagnosis is at the first of the catastrophe theory. The catastrophe theory is a physics theory that when one tsunami arrives, it's impossible to stop the tsunami. We need to prevent, we need to work about when we detect the tsunami, because when the tsunami disappears, when the world goes breakdown, it's impossible. We need to build another, but refer this one. That is really the purpose. And what to do, improving timely diagnosis. Everyone who is working in clinical trials knows that how is the delay to include patients at time for the companies, for any kind of the study. And the other is raising hidden persons with cognitive decline. Where are the hidden persons? I always say in the market, I always say in Harrods, I always say in the Corte Inglés. No in the settings of PCPs, because when they are in the settings of the PCPs, these people talk about other disease, other comorbidities, and sometimes they are not talking about cognitive decline. Well, MOPEAD want to generate, as the previous one is talking, generate data, good data, excellent data, and to share knowledge. Good data is phenotype. As you can see in my next slides, there are two steps in MOPEAD. One step is to reach the syndrome of dementia. It's phenotype. All of us who can to reach this one, or must to reach this one. Another is to reach etiological diagnosis. Etiological diagnosis needs to biomarkers. So that's one, PET, blood, CSF, but we need the biomarkers. But in our world, we need to improve the phenotype, of course, and to reach one optimal etiologic diagnosis. That is our, that is our consortium. That is our consortium. It is not a huge consortium because we share academics, research, stakeholders, and of course EFIA. Here is the responsibilities of each one of the consortium. As you are talking about the course, in MOPEAD we need, and one of our objectives is to know how is the course for the pre-screening, because I don't know if to do the pre-screening is so expensive that it's impossible to affordable. And that is one balance, what is my opportunity. And the other is to include gender in our studies, because as you know, everyone knows, Alzheimer's disease is a female disease, not only for the patients, it's for the patient, for the caregivers. And how is the role of the females? How is the role of the females in the biological terms, in the biological phenotype, and the access these patients to the memory units to reach the diagnosis, and to access these patients to provide care during the clinical trial, during the study, because I am not alone when I have Alzheimer's disease. Back me, they are another person, and this person must to be included in the course and must to be included in the designs of the clinical trials. Well, that is a zoom about the MOPEAD. MOPEAD is easy. It's very easy. It's not complex. It's very easy. MOPEAD, the aim or the focus is in here, to understand the 4 different scenarios that we design and plan to establish a good pre-screening. I don't know if it's working well or no. Later from this pre-screening we pass to one work package 3 for the memory unit to make the diagnosis, and the time for doing is 3 years. The kickoff was in October 16, and the extension of this project arrived at the end of the December of this year. And we can, our objective, and we expect to collect 2,000 participants in the pre-screening. It's a funnel, very easy funnel. That is the pre-screening. If you work in the clinical trials, in some clinical trials, the fellows screen reach 40 and 80%. This funnel is like this one. It's reduced a lot, with a lot of cost and with a lot of waste of time. And when we explore these 2,000 participants as the pre-screening, my dear, all this one is the normal rules in our memory clinics and every day. That is the prescription times, and we are here, we are finished the collecting the data, and just now it's to start to analyze data, and I show you the update the data. Maybe it's one more to less, but over is up, because sometimes some subject is not entry in our database. That is the pre-screening. That is the pre-screening. The pre-screening, it's explored 4 different scenarios with 4 different approaches. These 2 approaches is very common for every one of us because it's setting in the PCPs, in the primary care, or setting in the diabetologic settings. It's patients. For the citizen science and open house initiative is global population who wants to access to the MOPEAD through citizen science using this subtest of the CANTAT, or from the face-to-face in our memory clinic, but it's for a global population, is without indication of your PCP. In Spain it's very easy for us because to receive my patient in my memory unit, I need to inform, and that delayed that this patient arrived into my memory unit, and with open house, that is a bypass. If you want to test memory, please call me. That is open house. That is open house. All the 4 scenarios have the naming for consent, the semi-informed consent. We recap demographic data. Here use the MMSEs and the 3 questions from subjective cognitive decline, and use to detect hippocampus memory deficient Q and the HAT scale, because that disturbs sometimes the memory confidence. And here the same, but the K3 scores adapted for the young people, and here it's the test that it's not usual for the people who's working in the memory clinic, because it's the test that is used for the diabetologists in order to capture defects in cognition. That it's normal for all of you. The neurologic assessment, it's mandatory to use the CRB sandboxes for every one site in order to harmonize all our data. Here we introduce R1s in order to compare free and Q and real ones, who is working better, who is the most efficient tool in order to capture that is our objective. And only with this one, using MRI, blood tests, and genetics, we can to reach one optimal phenotype, because there's the diagnosis is from the syndrome. My cognitive impairment, amnestic, non-amnestic, single domain, multiple domain, no cognitive impairment, healthy controls, I don't know. Subjective memory complaints, maybe, or people with dementia. Do you think that here we capture advanced dementia? No. We capture very, very early dementia. If they accept and we follow with our task, we can, that is our hopes, to obtain an optimal diagnosis using CSF. Why we use CSF and not PET? Because it's mandatory for the budget. No any reason. Our budget is finished here, the budget can use the CSF, nobody, we use the CSF, okay? That is our plan. MOPEAD is finished here, MOPEAD is finished. And I want to use this slide, is complex, but it's easy. It's like in order that how we collect all this data, how we manage all this data, how to obtain the results, and how to do with the results. First one, MOPEAD is an open access. The results is not the MOPEAD, it's not the Lilly, it's not the Fundació, it's the all citizens from Europe. Thank you very much. Because they pay and they must receive our results. All these activities is to collect, to preserve, to save, and to use our data. And part of this data is the server to design for this project in Fundació. That is a very, very, very summary that the point we are here. How many people we are collecting the World Parker 2? Rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 2080. 7 patients. How of them pass to make a diagnosis, 400, because here it's 8 is in the middle. What is the results of this data? Only on this data, 29%. 29% match with our deal. That is my data. I don't know if you think it's a good. I don't know if you think that it's poor. I don't know if you are agree. Agree, of course, because that is the data. You must to be agree. But I don't know it's efficient or not efficient. But with this program, we reach nearly a 30% of the agreement with our proposal. How many MRIs were reached during all this project? 400. That is the 8 patients that is not included in the data. From Germany, that is for the runs, and for the sites. For the Germany, Netherlands, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. Total 400. 400 is for you. That we have a central reader for the basic analysis. MRI from the MOPEAD is close to IPAD in order to send these patients to IPAD, because obviously it's impossible to repeat the things. That is for all of us. And that is a very impressive question. MOPEAD is not mandatory. It's not mandatory, the PL, the CSF, because it's optional. I am not in clinical study that the CSF was mandatory, it's optional. How is happened here? Well, people refuse the lumbar puncture because I believe, no? Or you can believe that here must be 400, but here is 144. That is Germany, Netherlands, Slovenia, it's working very well. Spain is in the middle, is a sandwich. Sweden, with a big and huge tradition for the lumbar puncture, and we only, so sad for me, we only reach 144. We need to think about this one. We need to analyze what is happening here. We need to understand why people don't want to reject the lumbar puncture, and it's only for the citizens, or maybe it's for the professionals. That is a big question that I don't know if MOPEAD can resolve. A little more. If the data that I show you, it represents the positive 28%, it's positive in the round 1, and we reach the effective positivity in 21%. If I pass, talking about the round 2, round 2 it's the most homogeneous around Europe, seems to be more easy around Europe because it's more, seems to be more comfortable for the patient. We reach 33% the positive from the pre-screening, and we reach the 71% when we evaluate with Work Package 3. The same data from the round 3, 50%, 42%, something is wrong here, and I mean my closing remarks, I try to understand this one for you, or explain this for you. And the round 4, his people with diabetes, the 56% it's positive, they have cognitive decline, obvious cognitive decline, but we reach only 37% that it was positive with the work package evaluation. The closing remarks. Round 1. The global statement is maybe it's the less harmonic among the sites, highly variable between the countries. Ethic committees delayed a lot to approval in some countries. It was terrible to work with these ethical committees. They understand what we are doing, but they maybe it's not agree with the people use one Google tool to reach one diagnosis. The question is how we offer to the citizens to preserve data. It takes a lot of the time.
Mercè, you've been 20 minutes already. So I can give you 5 more, because we have a little bit of...
It's only to underline this one. Globalist method seems too easy to implement, but the feedback for the patients, the majority of the participants was classified as a positive and complete the diagnosis. And for the memory units professionals, the methodology and logistics was easy to implement. Some different from the RON3. What is the problem in the RON3? The difference was established for the different public health systems and the different memory clinics organization. What is the relation with the PCPs? But it was incredible here. The patients, don't want to be diagnosed. They want to add another pathology to the previous one. Well, we need to talk with the citizens, but we need to talk with the PCPs. No time, no treatment available, and they are not interested in training. And the last one is rank 4. It's the difficulties here. It's because the patients, the same is from the system. The patient refused to the lumbar punctions, and the patients don't want to add more pathology to their pluripathology, and the endocrinologists, that it's very important for the public health system, have a lack of information and training about cognitive decline and the low motivation to manage both entities as a unique health public users. And my final is, as a proof of concept, if you think that MOPEAD is a proof of concept in the clinical trials, that MOPEAD could be MOPEAD is MOPEAD is reproducible around the world, is flexible to be applied, adaptable for each specific characteristic of the public system in the country, and it's a model which said that educational plans address it to the health professionals and the civil society. And here it's the more closing remarks about the MOPEAD. And thank you very much.